think you've heard of warrior queens before? Nah, let me stop you right there. This is Aminatu, and she didn't just break the rules, she rewrote the entire playbook. A princess raised with swords instead of tiaras, walls built in her name that still stand today, and an empire so big that even her enemies had to respect the hustle. But hey, let's not spoil the whole story just yet. Sure, she conquered cities and led armies, but trust me, this story isn't just about battles. It's about one woman who looked at the world and thought, you know what, I'll take it. So sit tight, because once you start this journey, you won't want to leave. Ready to meet the queen? Alright folks, let's travel back to the 16th century, deep in West Africa, to a place called Zazzau. No, not a fantasy land from a magical novel, though it definitely sounds like one. It's actually a house of kingdom in what is now Nigeria. And boy was Zazzau about to get a serious upgrade, because, drum roll, Aminatu was born. A little girl born to the royal family, but not just any little girl. Oh no, Aminatu was destined to be the Beyoncé of her time, but with swords. While other kids were learning to sew or play with dolls, Aminatu was sharpening her sword and figuring out how to conquer the world. Typical kid stuff, right? Now, don't get it twisted. Aminatu wasn't the sit-at-home and look pretty kind of royal. Nope. She had the whole warrior princess vibe going on. Her father, King Nikitau, noticed pretty early that his daughter was more interested in shields than shoes. So, being the supportive dad he was, he made sure she got the best military training around. You know, just in case she ever needed to, I don't know, conquer a few empires. Who knew that training would come in handy one day? It really, really did. Fast forward a bit. Her father passes away, her mother, Queen Bakwa, rules for a while, but soon it's Aminatu's turn. And what's the first thing she does? Does she throw a big coronation party? Maybe take a few months to figure things out? Absolutely not. Aminatu was more like, let's roll, people. There are lands to conquer. She was a woman with a mission. Now, instead of throwing a royal ball, Aminatu threw herself into battle. Literally, she strapped on her armor, grabbed her sword, and led her army to war. And boy, did she know how to handle business. Aminatu didn't play around. She conquered cities faster than you can say Zazzau. And I mean a lot of cities, north, south, east, west. No direction was safe. Her goal was simple. If you had a city and it looked even remotely interesting, she wanted it. But don't think she was just stomping around aimlessly. No. Aminatu was a strategic genius. She had her eyes on trade routes. These routes were like the 16th century version of owning all the Wi-Fi in town. Gold, ivory, salt, all that good stuff was flowing in, and Aminatu made sure she controlled it. She wasn't just in it for glory. Oh no, she wanted that economic power too. And then there were the walls. You can't talk about Aminatu without talking about her famous walls. Everywhere she conquered, she made sure to build these massive defensive walls around the cities. They're literally called Amina's walls. Can you imagine that conversation? Yeah, so great job conquering this place. Now let's just build some walls to keep it safe, and make them tall, real tall. You know, because nothing says I own this place like a 30-foot wall with your name on it. Now, just because she was a warrior queen doesn't mean Aminatu didn't have a soft side, or at least a let's not kill everyone side. She was smart about it. Once she conquered a city, she didn't destroy it. Nope, she turned it into an ally. That's right, Aminatu was a master of diplomacy. After she conquered a city, she'd often leave the local rulers in charge, as long as they paid tribute to her, of course. It was like saying, hey, you can keep your fancy title, but just remember, I'm the boss now. So what happened after Aminatu's 34-year reign of awesomeness? Well, she left a legacy that continues to this day. People still talk about her, and there are even statues of her in modern-day Nigeria. And I mean, that's pretty impressive, right? Thousands of years later, and you've still got people building statues of you. Talk about making an impression. Aminatu wasn't just a warrior queen. She was a force of nature. She expanded Zazzau's influence across West Africa, controlled vital trade routes, and basically built walls that would make even modern-day contractors jealous. She's a symbol of power, courage, and, let's face it, some serious home security. They're still standing today. Imagine that. A project you ordered built 500 years ago is still making everyone else look bad. Classic Aminatu. So there you have it, Aminatu, Queen Amina of Zazzau. She wasn't just some random queen in a history book. She was a full-on empire builder, military mastermind, and the original boss lady. Her conquests? Legendary. Her walls? Iconic. Her legacy? Undeniable. And let's be real, if you ever met her, you'd probably want to stay on her good side. Because if there's one thing we've learned, it's that Aminatu wasn't just here to play. She was here to conquer. Before we round up on this epic story and iconic lifestyle of Aminatu, I'd like to share with you one of her most famous battles. Trust me, this one's a masterpiece of strategy, strength, and sheer willpower. So buckle up. The year was around 1576, and Aminatu had her eyes on a wealthy, powerful city-state to the north. The city Kano was a jewel, rich in trade, sitting on prime territory. But the leaders of Kano? They underestimated Aminatu, thinking they could hold her off with their high walls and vast armies. Little did they know, they were up against one of the sharpest military minds in Africa. Aminatu wasn't one to rush in blindly. Oh no. She had a plan. Before the battle even began, she gathered her generals and scouted every inch of the terrain. She knew the enemy would be expecting a direct siege, so she decided to throw them a curveball. Instead of attacking from the front, she led her army on a grueling march through the rough, rocky terrain on the western side of the city. A route everyone thought was too difficult for an army to navigate. That was Aminatu's first stroke of genius. She took the road less traveled, literally. By the time Kano's forces realized what was happening, Aminatu's troops were already surrounding them from an unexpected angle. But Aminatu wasn't done showing off her tactical brilliance just yet. She divided her forces into 3 units. The first, led by her fiercest cavalry, stormed the western gate, drawing Kano's defenders into a pitched battle. It was chaotic, loud, with horses and soldiers clashing, just as Aminatu had planned. As the enemy forces focused on the cavalry, Aminatu unleashed the second unit, her elite archers, positioned on a nearby hill. From there, they rained down arrows onto the city, hitting key defensive positions and spreading panic. The defenders had no idea where the attack was truly coming from. The chaos worked to perfection. And then, with precision timing, Aminatu herself led the third unit, her most disciplined infantry, straight through a weak point in the eastern wall, which she'd cleverly scouted days before. This was the killing blow. Her troops surged through the gap, overwhelming the city's exhausted and confused defenders. The fighting was fierce. Sword clashed against sword, shields buckled under heavy blows, but Aminatu's forces were relentless. She herself was at the front, her sword gleaming under the sun, cutting through enemy lines like they were nothing. The people of Kano had never seen anything like it. A queen leading the charge, fearless and unstoppable. In a matter of hours, what was once thought to be an impenetrable city fell under Aminatu's control. But here's the thing. Aminatu wasn't just about winning. Once the battle was over, she didn't sack the city or burn it to the ground. Instead, she established Kano as a tribute state, ensuring it continued to thrive while funneling wealth and resources back to Zazzau. Her victory wasn't just about conquest. It was about long-term strategy, securing power, and building an empire that would last. This battle wasn't just another win for Aminatu, it cemented her reputation as one of the greatest military minds in African history. The way she outmaneuvered her enemies, how she used both strength and cunning, made this battle legendary. And that's why, to this day, people still tell the story of the queen who conquered Kano and never looked back. The moral of Aminatu's life is one of unparalleled courage, leadership, and the power of breaking boundaries. Aminatu lived in a time when women were expected to play supporting roles, but she defied all expectations and charted her own path. Her story teaches us that true strength doesn't come from following convention, but from daring to step outside of it. She wielded both sword and diplomacy with equal skill, proving that intelligence, strategy, and bravery are not limited by gender. Aminatu's lifestyle shows that leadership is about vision and resilience. She expanded her empire not just through military conquests, but through careful planning, diplomacy, and economic foresight. Her ability to see beyond immediate victories and secure long-term success is a powerful reminder that true leaders always look at the bigger picture. More than anything, Aminatu's life is a testament to empowerment. She embraced the qualities that made her unique and never shied away from claiming her power. For anyone facing limitations imposed by society, her legacy serves as a beacon of hope. It tells us that when you stand firm in your purpose, embrace your skills, and refuse to be confined by expectations, you can rewrite history, just as Aminatu did.
Hey there! If you love the story of Aminatu, the warrior queen, and want more epic tales from history like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to like this video if it inspired you, and definitely share it with your friends who enjoy powerful stories. Oh, and drop a comment below with your thoughts or any other legendary figures you want to hear about next. Your support helps us bring more incredible stories to life, so stay tuned for more.